Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, and I'm always happy to talk about running with Ed because this is a great opportunity for all of us to help our local education out. And we've got Sean Beard here with the Running with Ed committee, and then of course from OK3 Air, Nadim Abu Haidar. I knew I was going to get it right. I had it right first. Abu Haidar. And happy to have you guys here. And,
thanks for having us.
Always good to have another aviator in studio with us. But you're not here to talk about aviation. We're here to talk about running and how we can improve our ability to get people involved and fund that part of it and raise some money for a great cause. So.
Yeah, at this point we've got our teams.
Yep.
You're registered, so it's time to fundraise, which is the biggest piece of this. So we have a pretty hefty goal, $55,000. We raised about $42,000 last year, so we got to get to work.
And the goal much is higher this year, as always. You'd expect that, and we're off to a pretty good start, I think, based on what we've seen around here as far as excitement about this event. Anyway.
Oh yeah, this is the fun part.
Absolutely, the running I'm not sure is the fun part, but Nadine might disagree with me. You guys have a couple of teams, and you guys love to run.
Yeah, we do. We have two teams, and the running is fun, certainly. I mean, we're all in this town, pretty athletic town, but also just the entire event during the day. I mean, it's a really fun full day event. We have a company team. My wife and four other ladies are joining us in their team as well. So really, as far as just planning a fun outing, it doesn't get any better. It's really a lot of fun. The fundraising part is what we're here to talk about today. We're trying to introduce that sort of fun element as well, so people can get motivated about fundraising for this cause, which is a great cause. Everybody should have and does have an interest in public education. So we're trying to fire up the fundraising effort.
Well, I think it's worth mentioning, obviously, that you're not exactly, your business isn't exactly right here in Park City proper, and yet you still see that, feel that involvement and that need to be part of this event, which I think is a big part of when we talk about fundraising, that, staying here right downtown is probably necessarily the ideal. Get out there and get some of these other folks involved that may not necessarily feel like this is their race too, but it is. It's everybody's. It's all of us working towards education, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a large community event. It's getting bigger and bigger. It touches both Wasatch and Summit County, and as Nadim had said, our education here is huge on all levels. Even if you don't have kids in school, our real estate agents, if you have a good foundation with the schools, it's going to attract people to come here to this community.
Absolutely. So, well, and we have to consider that I always think about this when I look at my own kids, the time frame that we're talking about from when we start our kids off in the school and the time that they graduate and start making a serious impact on our lives. Not as just parents but community it's a fleeting moment. It is. Yeah. It's so fast. And we very likely could have some kids that have some really great ideas and some ways they might impact us in a very large way. That is just it's a moment in time from the time that we make this investment in their future to when it affects us. It's pretty quick. Yeah,
it's very quick. And you said earlier that although my business is based in Hebron, both my older kids go to school here in McPolin. But the issue of why we're raising money for the public school system, I think most people locally understand because of the way that the money flow happens. We don't get to keep our tax dollars here, so we're trying to augment that so the schools are competitive on a national level. And I think that even for those, if you're trying to fundraise with somebody that's not from here, to explain that concept is relatively easy. We're trying to augment essentially the funding for these schools so that we can be competitive. And that's the main drive for this effort.
Well, let's talk about the specifics of getting out and fundraising. As far as approaching organizations and things like that, do you have some suggestions and ways that we should be doing that?
There's a couple ways to do it, and it's on all levels. You don't have to be raising $5,000, $10,000. There's some teams that's their goals, but if it's $500 or $1,000, set a goal. Bring in some money. Every team should be doing fundraising at some level, and it's not hard to do. What I do is I send an email out. I'll put an email together for my teammates, just saying this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it. It's a 38-mile relay. It's a lot of fun, and it benefits our kids and the Park City Education Foundation. And I blast it out to family and friends and say, my parents back east, this is affecting your grandchildren. So
absolutely,
and that that money comes in that way. Now I challenge my team. I pay for a team, and then I challenge each of my runners to match what I paid for the team. So we go at it. That's
a really good way to start, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I tell people, challenge your other teammates to step it up. It's not hard. Nadeem and I were talking about this before. Fundraising isn't necessarily fun. Nobody likes to be asking people for money, but you have to make the ask. Go out there and do it.
Yeah, people are concerned about the ask. We all are. But in this town, we get involved. We get asked for various organizations, and I think this one is one of the easier ones to turn around and make the ask because of the cause and what we talked about before. It appeals to a very broad spectrum of people. So just to get out there and make the ask, and then, like you and I talked about earlier, have a little bit of fun with it. I mean, I think whether you can, challenge another team, or whether you can, make something fun with it. Tell somebody, hey, if you give me this much money, I'll do this or do that, or wear something funny. You can make the fundraising effort, which is, not easy for most people, make it a little bit more interesting, which is what we did between our teams as well, and that ended up being quite successful.
Well, I would think that given the length of this route and the fact that it goes by businesses and things, there's some opportunities there to get some people involved that way to say, look, we're going to be running right by. You guys can have all your people out there. You can be supporting us, or you can come out somewhere else on the, on the run, the actual course itself and support us, not just monetarily, but be out there and make it a big company event. There's lots of other things you can do to try to get them excited about it, certainly.
Yeah, and with businesses, a lot of times companies will match a donation. So if an employee makes an individual donation to our team, their company may match it. We've seen that with some of our donors. So,
that's really cool.
I mean, so, think about that. Think about some of your friends that work for these bigger companies. And
that have those opportunities
say, hey, would your company match your donation? So there's a lot of different ways to do it. The website has some tools on it for fundraising. You can look and see where you are every day. That's where we started getting pretty competitive last year towards the end.
He started it.
Right? I know Nadeem's a fairly competitive guy.
Slightly.
I mean, the name of the company alone tells you how competitive they are. OK3, for those of you who don't know, it's about the landing trap on the carrier, and getting that third wire is the one that matters, because that says you're a pro. So that's, it's very competitive, right?
But it is, yes. I mean, this town is a very competitive town. So I think he can introduce some of that into it, which is what happened between our two teams.
That's awesome.
We all know each other, but a little bit of the heckling kind of kicked in, and so now we're in this race, and all kinds of interesting, fun stuff started happening. But the net result of all that is we actually both raised more money than we would have without that little rivalry.
Of course.
So any team can do that. Pick somebody else, somebody challenge them to something. It doesn't matter what the level is. But if you introduce some of that, fires up the team and makes it fun.
Yeah. And I think people, fed off of what we were doing last year and could see that competitiveness going on. It wasn't quiet.
But he took it way too far. He recruited somebody to log on, and I think it was just before midnight when the cutoff was, and he knew I was going to be in bed by 10. So they snuck in there with the last donation to get him over the 11. So we have game plans this year. We're going to raise the bar. There was also some jostling for parking position, I think, last year. And
winner gets a VIP spot at all the exchanges, and that became a pretty hot ticket.
Yes, so. I think there was some car paint involved. This year we're showing up with a vehicle that's basically designed to deal with him and his team. There's some self-defense weaponry on top of this thing, not to mention loudspeakers and other things. So we're ready, to take Sean and his boys down this year, no matter what.
We have some other competition too. I've heard from some other people they're coming after us as well. So, but again, on all levels. I mean, if you want to raise $1,000, find another team that you guys can compete against.
And have fun with it.
It makes the whole fundraising aspect enjoyable.
Well, the first part of fundraising is fun, right?
That's right.
There you go. Well, I have to ask in finality here, what are the teams going to be this year? What's the team? You got any idea? Can we get a little hint?
Our team name?
Yeah.
We're 5 Fat Guys.
It's going to be 5 Fat Guys.
We're the non-runners in this group, but you know, again, this race is set up to touch all levels of runners, fundraisers. There's our first place team right there last year.
Excellent.
We were 4 fat guys and a runner, which is Robin. She's a school teacher.
She's your runner.
Who's relocated to Chicago, so she won't be with us this year, but we've recruited a 5th fat guy.
A new runner. Oh, no, another fat guy. So now it's just 5 fat guys.
See, the pink shorts there, that was a challenge. I
That's
got
unity.
Brody Pollard, actually,
to
pony up a few extra bucks. I told him I'd run in pink shorts and no shirt.
And
so
the paint
you
on
have
the
fun
back,
with it and that kind of stuff, and you can, you know, get a few more bucks for the.
That's great.
You dress up your chase vehicles. Like, I'm a little concerned about what he's got going on for us this year.
Yeah, this might not be good.
That means I have to step it up as well.
Well, guys, we sure appreciate you being here and showing how people can get involved. And I would have to say the big thing here is you mentioned the ask, and people get a little worried about that. You know what? There's nothing to worry about. If we can be on TV and talk to you like this is scary enough. The ask is a small, little, tiny thing. It's something that people expect you to do anyway. You know, as we get involved in summer, we get involved in these opportunities to all help each other and come together. And I don't think it shouldn't be anything to think twice about. Just get out there and help raise some funds and do the right thing.
And it's easy as a team captain, or if you're a runner, go on the website, runningwithed.com, go to fundraising. It's so simple to make a donation. I was talking to one of my teammates last night, and I said, "Are you going to start fundraising? Because I don't see any effort on your part." And he said, "Well, has the website changed at all?" I said, "It hasn't changed at all." He said, "Oh, it's easy." Because I was telling him to get back on it and get familiar with it. He goes, it's simple. So, you know, I challenge people to go out there and make a donation themselves, even if it's $10, $25, just to see how it works and see how simple it is.
Any amount helps.
Yeah, and I'd really like to see more teams involved in fundraising.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's the important part. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys both for being here, Sean Baird and Nadim Abu Haidar.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
Well, we'll be back with more on the Mountain Morning Show, including some really great birds right after this.